Well, good afternoon, everyone. Time for a quick weather update, 2:30 in the afternoon. Latest CMP outages are up to about 6,000 customers. Again, 2:30. Winds are gusting to 46 miles per hour in Portland. That's our peak wind gust for the day so far. Sanford had a peak wind gust last hour of 48 miles per hour. They're gusting to 46, and the wind will continue to ramp up over the next several hours. We'll have frequent wind gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. A few coastal locations may experience wind gusts closer to 70 miles per hour. I want to show you what goes into making a wind forecast here in the latest forecast models. This is the BuffKit overview. It's a tool that allows us to analyze different computer models. This is the NAM model initialized this morning around 8 o'clock in the morning. I want to show you how this works out. This is a timeline basically read from right to left. So this in the lower right hand corner of your screen, this is 8 o'clock Monday morning, 2 o'clock this afternoon, so about a half hour ago. This 8 o'clock in the evening tonight. So we're reading from right to left. These little hash lines you see there, those are different levels in the atmosphere. 1,000 feet in elevation, 2,000 feet in elevation, 3,000 feet in elevation. So what you're seeing here in these purple colors is the low-level jet stream. This is something I want to monitor over the next several hours. This is something we've been anticipating. There's an 80-knot jet at about 3,000 feet in elevation. Now the big question is how much of this wind can mix down to the ground. The only real mechanism that can do that is heavy rainfall or thunderstorms. So I want to see where those heavy downpours set up. Our greatest chance for heavy downpours will be during the early evening and early nighttime hours, and it's during that period we could see some very strong wind gusts mixing right down to the ground. Based on this forecast and this model run here, we're seeing sustained winds very close to the ground of 30-35 miles per hour. That would bring us winds gusting to probably around 50, 55, somewhere in there. So there'll be frequent wind gusts 50 to 55 during the early nighttime hours. Again, this is 8 o'clock in the evening. That yellow line you see right there, that is what we call the mixing layer, what the model is projecting to be the mixing layer. Theoretically, anything underneath the mixing layer can mix down to the ground. Notice there are some blues in here, those blues being 50-knot sustained winds. So that's something we need to watch real closely. That white line is the current time there as well. So there is the potential that we see some of these winds mix right down to the ground. However, I'm not convinced we're going to see widespread 70 mile per hour wind gusts. I think it's more like 50 to 60 for peak wind gusts for many towns, and that's enough to knock out power for many communities late this afternoon and evening. Again, the latest numbers from CMP are up to about 6,000 customers, and most of them are in Cumberland County right there. All right, now to the latest on the storm. The storm is located, let's see, brand new advisory coming out from the Hurricane Center, about 110 miles to the southeast of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wow, this is a beast of a storm. When I say this is a beast of a storm, it really is. This one is going down the history books, and this advisory you see right there, that is a historical advisory. We are not going to see anything like this potentially for our lifetimes. And the reason for that, we now have the lowest pressure on the East Coast north of the Carolinas. This now rivals, is stronger as far as pressure-wise goes. It's stronger than the great 1938 hurricane, that 940 millibar low. There it is in Sandy as she makes her way towards the coastline. And just in case you're wondering, that 1938 hurricane had a low pressure of 946 millibars, and that was recorded on Long Island, New York. That was back in the Long Island Express, of course. All right, what can we expect from this storm around here? Well, the wind will lead my headlines. Strongest winds will be this evening, roughly through about 11 o'clock. If I had to pick a time that we get the strongest wind, it's probably like 7, 8 o'clock, somewhere in there. So the wind will continue to ramp up. We'll have frequent gusts, 50 to 60 miles per hour. I included the plus because there may be a few areas, particularly along the coast, that we see slightly higher wind gusts, up to maybe even 70 miles per hour. It all depends on how much of that wind mixes down to the ground. This is something I want to monitor during the evening hours. Coastal flooding, another big issue. We had the high tide already at, let's see, that was at 11:30 this morning. I checked the Portland tide gauge, and it was already reporting a tide of 12 feet, which is flood stage in Portland, so it was 2 feet above the expected tide. All right, Sandy's projected path takes her right into New Jersey, or southern New Jersey. The orange area is the projected wind field. That is tropical storm force winds, so there is the potential that tropical storm force winds make it as far north as northern New England. That has prompted the Weather Service to issue this high wind warning that remains in effect right through tomorrow morning. It's for the entire region. Coastal flood warnings remain in effect for the coastline. The time frame for the high tide tonight around midnight. So let's take a look at that high tide. It is 11:58 to be exact. The tide is expected to be 9 feet with a 2 to 4 foot surge. On top of that will likely eclipse our flood stage in Portland of 12 feet. So minor flooding is expected there. That's a quick weather update this afternoon. Again, 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm going to have much more coming up on News 13 live at 5, 5:30, and News 13 at 11. You can always check for updates on our website at WGME.com and, of course, on Facebook. Hope everyone... Oh, and one more thing. If you get any great pictures of the storm, I'd love to see them. Send them to me on my page on Facebook. All right, have a nice afternoon.